Let's talk about how prolific you have been, though, over the years, that you can do the theater, you do television, you do write very, very good novels now. How does that come about? Is it a subject matter that hits you and it naturally finds its right form? Or do you think, I feel I'm in the mood to do a play right now, or this time I want to do a novel?
That's a good question. I write a lot because it's a way for me to organize who I am in the world. And I get rather confused when I'm not writing something. And I have a lot of curiosity. I learn so much from writing. It is a way of organizing knowledge for me. And I really, I like writing for television. I had sort of hoped that that thing would go on for a while because I like to work. I like to be, I work really hard. I'm not somebody who likes to relax a lot. So I was kind of hoping I'd be doing that for a long time. I really enjoyed that.
And you're not a writer who just disappears or goes away and then turns it all in. You like being in the theater, you like being on television, you like collaborating with directors and actors and everybody else.
Yeah, but I also feel like, so the fiction thing is newer for me and it's very much a challenge for me, but I'm on my third novel and I just finished the big draft and ended up I drafted it a few times with my husband, reading some of it, my editor and a couple people, and now I'm on like the little draft where you go, okay, you need more, take those, you just move things around a bit, and then it'll go into, where they copy edit and all that other stuff, proofs, oh yeah, that word, proofs. I do find that I learn a lot in different ways. My brain works in different ways. I found it very, very, very difficult to write a novel, and it's getting easier, and that the sound of my writing is different. For the longest time, I couldn't write a third-person narrator because I'm so used to, like, my writing muscle really is about standing behind the character and letting the character. So the first time I tried to write a novel, I wrote like, it was like this. The tree blows in the wind. And I was like, oh my God, that's awful. Like, who's talking? I couldn't figure out who's talking because it was like, and then I thought, what am I going to do about this narrative voice? And then I thought, well, you could do it like a first-person narrator, like, call me Ishmael, or, or Huck Finn. Really very fine novels have been written from that first-person point of view, and I thought this would be like that. And then I realized that I had not ever even written a really long monologue, which is what I was sort of proposing to do. So then I wrote Bad Dates. I thought I have to at least try writing a long monologue, which was really, one-person plays are really hard to write. I'm like, I'll never do that. I probably will try it again sometime, but I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. But then once I got through that, then I wrote, my first two novels were in first person, and I ultimately started finding it unsatisfying because it's so limiting, and I think I don't have the toolkit yet I just haven't explored that first person right as a fiction writer yet. And then, so my third novel does start out, I read a lot of, I finally went back to reading a lot of Victorian, Michael and I talk about Victorian literature all the time. I read a lot of Trollope and E.M. Forster, who's more Edwardian, but that those two had narrative voices that made sense to me, and I started to ring true inside myself, because then I was like, oh, the narrative voice is me, and you, Theresa, have to take authority for being the one speaking here, and don't hide behind your characters. you know, but I'm not that I'm ever hiding behind my characters, but you know, you really do sort of stand inside them and let them speak. I will say, here's a little anecdote. I heard about this, there was this woman out there, like a long time ago, who would like go into a trance and talk as a Egyptian something. Do you guys know about this? Has anyone ever heard this story? There was this crate like Seth. Okay, and so, when somebody explained this to me, I was like, what is this? And they explained that she'd go into a trance and then speak and write all these things down. And I was like, oh, I can do that.
And while you're in that trance, you can put a curse on Shaman and Whitman.
Any decent playwright can do that.
But it is interesting what you say about finding your voice as a novelist, though, because Theresa and I both share a love of Victorian literature, Trollope in particular, but I also think of the great Russians, Tolstoy. They have this ability to create a universe of characters, each one individual, distinctive, with their own way of speaking, and then they can pull back away from it and give you a much broader view of all of these people swirling in this universe that they themselves may not even be aware of, which I think is, it's very difficult to do, but it's very effective when you do it well as a writer.
Yes, I think that Tolstoy does that brilliantly, and Dickens.
Yeah.
And I'm a little more like, I've been reading a lot of Dostoevsky because he doesn't pull quite so far away.
No.
And I'm curious about those big epics, you know. I sort of have this fantasy now about writing an epic, and I'm going to see how that plays out.